throttle up.
Every 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another ActinVision live event here on LinkedIn. I'm Martin Lee, for those of you who don't know me with ActinVision. It is my pleasure to take you through the next half an hour or so. We have the pleasure to be with Josh, who is VP of Channel and Alliances with Matillion. I'll open the mic up to Josh in just a second. Now, for those of you who don't know this format or unfamiliar with the LinkedIn event experience, please note it is a closed mic event, so we don't have an open discussion with the audience. However, we would love for you to engage with us, and there is a chat and comment section on the right-hand side of the page. I can see it, so if you have any comments, questions, anything at all that you'd like to share with us, please do so there. Any questions that you have, I will gladly put them to Josh. If I can help, I will obviously answer them as well, but we'd love to be engaged with you. Also note, this is a live event, but it will be recorded. It will be packaged, sent off to a subtitling gizmo and come back in however many languages, I'm not entirely sure, but we will republish it in French specifically, maybe other languages, I don't know. So you can also engage around that, and we can then take any conversations that you, or questions that you have rather, offline. So that's how this works. Josh, we've known each other for a little while, but this is the first time I think I've done a live event with you. Welcome.
Thank you, Martin. It's fantastic to be here. And I was actually really touched and thrilled when you reached out to say, hey, do you want to have a conversation? So very much looking forward to it. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you, and we've known each other for a little while. You previously worked with another one of our partners, Alteryx, and we'll forgive you any slips of the tongue or of any other nature. It's a relatively recent change.
Yes.
So I know that this might happen, so I just want to throw that out there. But maybe just to get us started, before talking in depth about Matillion, why did you join the Matillion adventure?
You know, and first of all, thank you for that that lifeline. If I should have a slip up, just to share with the folks on the line, I think I'm 6 weeks into my journey at Matillion, so it is still quite new. You know, Martin, I've had a long time passion for the data and analytics sort of technology marketplace space. My first job in software was actually with a company, Informix Software, which got bought by IBM like 20 years ago. But I had responsibility for the team that worked with a lot of the, the sort of traditional BI vendors, SAS Institute, Business Objects, Cognos, MicroStrategy, still in the game. And it was just so fascinating for me coming into software and just seeing the power of analytics and how people could really use it to both run their business and just make better decisions and so forth. So very early on in my sort of professional career, this has been something that has been a passion of mine. I had the opportunity to lead global channel organizations at a couple of larger companies. Esri for geospatial. I don't know if anybody on the line is into location analytics or GIS, but I had the opportunity to work there, and that was really quite incredible technology. Maps are really sexy and interesting and valuable and useful, and the user base is incredibly passionate. I had the opportunity to work at Alteryx, which was, although not a geospatial company, their roots were actually as a geospatial company, so it felt quite sort of natural for me. I think when I was looking to make a change, what was quite clear to me is that obviously the cloud is the future. There's I don't think that's a discussion point anymore. But customers are still struggling with that journey of how do they move from sort of the traditional way that they've done things to take advantage of the size and scale and performance and cost savings and efficiencies and all the things we know. And it's still so early in this process. There's still so many people that need to go and want to go on that journey, and they need they need technology solutions like what Matillion brings to the table. They need coaches, what we call a Sherpa. I was calling you that a few minutes ago.
Thanks again.
Like ActinVision. You're welcome. Up the snowy mountain. And so I think for me, it's the journey that sort of brought me here. And Matillion, we're based in Manchester. We've got offices in our U.S. offices in Denver, Colorado. So it's a great company. We're young, exciting. And there's just, being part of something that is growing is really quite interesting. But, I mean, the best part is that, we have our customers love it. They take full advantage of it. And we get a lot of great sort of feedback. So it's been really interesting.
So there are a couple of points in what you said that I'd like to touch on. And I think the first one is, it's still a bit of backstory. The journey that you had, you mentioned went through Alteryx, and that's where we first met.
Right.
And we'll get into the role of channel and alliances in just a second. But what I find super interesting is that we met when you were working for a company that started off as a services company. You mentioned around maps and geospatial analytics.
Yeah.
The Matillion story is quite similar, and I find that interesting and ironic at the same time. Maybe you could share that with us.
No, I think that's really interesting. Matillion, Matthew Scullion, our CEO, founded the company in 2013. But he was doing with his partners, was doing consulting work, building reports and doing analysis and building dashboards and Martin, things that you and your cohort does, right?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It was 2013. It was 8 years ago. And as they were working with their clients, there were more and more clients wanting them to set up, sort of a data warehousing environment. And, Matthew being sort of leaning in on cloud, was trying to help them take advantage of the capabilities of the cloud and do BI, leveraging that as a platform. And I think what he came to discover was, the ability to move data and transform data into the cloud with cloud native capabilities just didn't exist. And so he was using legacy, ETL and other sort of infrastructure tools, which is fine, right? But it wasn't sort of in keeping with sort of the kind of the vision of trying to use the cloud for scale and performance and all those. So they identified early on that there was a technical gap, there was a technical opportunity that customers really needed, because that's what he was getting the feedback on. So the DNA of the company was sort of based on that. And so it's how do we build these capabilities to service our customers, to help them take advantage of cloud data warehousing. And so 2015, they started building product. In 2015, they launched their first, Matillion put its first product out for Redshift. 2 years later, followed up with Snowflake. And we've been very much on a journey. We're multi-platform. We just announced a product on Databricks. But part of our approach is to go very deep with these platforms. And so we've been working in this with these platforms for many years. So as they innovate and as they evolve, we're there with them. We're trying to take advantage of their R&D efforts for innovation and make sure that customers can get that through what we do. And so it's worked quite well. And yeah.
I agree. And let's maybe go back a bit in that story. You mentioned 2015 as being a key year in the Matillion story, first product for Redshift. And I think that's interesting because, obviously we're going to talk about Snowflake a bit later on, but Snowflake came later. Now I remember, as we are also a Snowflake partner, 2017 was really the takeoff year for Snowflake. What was the story for Matillion there, moving from Redshift to Snowflake? How did that come about? How did that happen?
Yeah, I think we're always going to sort of be customer focused in our approach. And if customers are working in a Redshift environment, we're going to support that. If they're working in a BigQuery environment, we're going to support that. If they're working in a Snowflake environment, we're going to support that. Now with Databricks. So I think, as much as anything, we're responding to customer requirements, responding to sort of where the market goes. We just want to provide a great technical solution so our clients are getting what they need. And as these platforms are innovating and evolving, we want to take advantage of their work with the platform that we bring to market.
I appreciate that. Obviously, there is also a technical side to this, and I don't want to get into the ELT versus ETL debate here. That's a whole other topic, and we can
you
have
would
a
be
whole
getting
other
it with the
conversation.
wrong guy, because I'm 6 weeks in, so I as I said, least technical guy in the call. So there we go.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But obviously, ELT working in the cloud, you mentioned it was the reason that Matillion came into existence as a software company, right? What, in your opinion, so from a non-technical perspective, is the special ingredient that makes Matillion and Snowflake so great?
Yeah, no, I'm assuming most folks on the call have some familiarity with Snowflake. Either they're using it, or they're thinking about using it, or they're sort of aware of that. So, as sort of the industry leading cloud data warehouse, now data cloud, just a really, really great company, a very strong company. They continue to grow and evolve and innovate, strengthen what they're doing across just a number of vectors. And so, and we're very much sort of aligned with that growth and so forth. When you bring together our capabilities with Snowflake, then we believe you have something quite special and foundational in anybody's cloud data warehousing architecture, right? So we make it easier and more efficient and more scalable and more cost effective and more performant to help customers get their data into Snowflake and then transform it into useful information. And we believe that is foundational to any sort of data warehousing in the cloud architecture. And if you get that right, it opens up just a range of other capabilities, be it better dashboarding, be it with, say, a Tableau, or if you're going to go run data science projects and you're doing AI ML work, you can use other sort of cloud native solutions like Data IQ. If you're doing data cataloging, which is obviously a hot topic for many companies, companies like Elation do that. In my mind, this is all part of a stack, the sort of the modern BI stack that so many customers are looking at best in breed. But these are solutions that that you can sort of pull together, and that a company like ActVision can play a role in that. It's complicated. It requires extra help. But you're not having to spin up your own. You're not having to build it from scratch. You're not having to write necessarily a lot of custom code. You can configure these systems in a way that's valuable. And so we really see what we do plus Snowflake, just to get back to that, as foundational to that environment, and from which you can build these great applications. And so we tend to think of ourselves as being sort of in this ecosystem. And it is Snowflake and us and these others and companies like ActVision who really play a role in helping guiding clients to figure out what makes sense for them. And
in a lot of the conversations that we had, prior to this call and preparing the interview, one thing that you mentioned to me that I really liked, just visually, was that Matillion kind of completes this architectural picture of the analytics solution cloud style, right? It's cloud-based, it's cloud native, it works, it exists really to facilitate that need of organizing data in the cloud. And you're right, this is something that, again, back in 2012, 2013 was still, just it was a dream. It wasn't something that existed tangibly. And I like this idea of completion and rounding off everything. Is that something that you were particularly drawn to?
Yeah, and I think the we talk with some leadership at my company sort of about triangulation of capabilities, that it's a combination of the data cloud data warehouse capabilities from Snowflake, the value that Matillion can bring in terms of getting that data in and build the pipelines and automate that and do it in a performant, cost-effective way, and then have a trusted subject matter expert, like ActVision or other partners who can make all this come together and make it real and solve real issues and address real use case. One of the things in the work that I do is I get to work with a lot of great business partners. A lot of our partners are also Snowflake partners, not surprisingly, and so that notion of sort of the circling of these things is a common topic, and it's not a one-off. Like these things work better in concert, and I think that's really kind of our that's been our learned experience. Like if you look at the way that our most successful customers are using the technology. It's this triangulation process where we have all three parties.
I completely get that, and so I did mention that we touch on your position and your role, and you've kind of answered part of the question already. So you're in charge of channel and alliances, and you mentioned that that is directly linked to partners. There are partners like us. There are partners that I think are a bit broader as well. Let's maybe not talk about them. Joking aside, what is your mission personally within the Matillion space?
Yeah, I think our mission is to make sure that we're helping our customers succeed by having access to leading technology, whether it's Snowflake or, frankly, I've got, my team works with just a range of other vendors' solutions, and that we have, great integration and great support and knowledge of each other's products, and we work well together in the field, so that when a customer says, "Hey, does Matillion work well with Elation?" that we can say, "Hey, we've done this 10 times and you're not taking risk, and you can take advantage of our learned experience when you go do that yourself." It also means that we need to have, a strong ecosystem of experts, of experts on our product, but also experts on these other products. And so when I look at the kinds of partnerships we're building, we're very often looking for people who have Snowflake experience or they have Dataiku experience, because very often the customers are looking for that combination of capabilities. And we don't want to learn on the customers who say in the US, "I don't want to learn on your nickel." That's partly my job. So if we can bring these capabilities together, we can help make customers more successful. It's very sticky technology. I think once people get their hands on it, there's so many ways that they use it that they may not have thought about it. So I can speak as a at Alteryx. I had great access to lots of data scientists and analysts. I was a huge user of this. I kept these guys really busy, and because the analytics journey is one of discovery, and every question brings up another question, and so you're constantly hitting on these systems and these experts to kind of bring back more more insight. So yeah, I think that's the mission. But we're very much a partner-centric company in how we try to support our customers.
No, and there's the technological side. And you mentioned a lot of solutions in that ecosystem. And maybe just for the audience, Dataiku, Alteryx, we're talking on the analytics, data science side, Elation, governance and data cataloging, Tableau on the visualization, just to really draw up that picture. And speaking of partnerships, one of the reasons behind the call and the interview today is the announcement that was, I think, last week or
Yes,
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
You guys got an award. Josh, congratulations. Technology Partner of the Year for Data Integration. Well done.
Little graphic there. Very nice.
Yes. Very pretty.
So an absolutely amazing award. And it was in many ways sort of a culmination of many years of work by developers, by marketing professionals, by our executive leadership team, our customers, supporting it, using this technology, helping us get better. So it was really quite a special thing for us, and I think people were feeling, quite excited about it. What was interesting to me though is the Snowflake announced a series of awards, and the other vendors that you mentioned were also award winners. And so when I mentioned earlier, sort of this modern BI stack, we're all sort of playing in the same sandbox, as it were, as we'd say in the States. And so, which is really quite exciting for me, because I think when you think about sort of these foundational elements and then these different sort of application capabilities, there's so much value that we can bring to customers. But getting that recognition really was quite special and rewarding, and we're quite touched and excited by that.
So I've got a couple of follow-up questions. First of all, what does this award mean, concretely speaking, in terms of Matillion business moving forward? And just a question that has cropped up. You mentioned a lot of solutions in terms of these awards and the ecosystem. Is there a drive towards a package sort of verticalized stack of solutions that will become a default that people will turn towards, or is it more the interoperability of these solutions and people can sort of pick and choose?
Yeah. So to answer the second question, I think it's best of breed. So I think each customer is going to have different requirements, and they're going to choose a solution that works best for them. I think part of my company's role is to make sure that we play well with all these relevant companies, and that we provide customer choice. And it really is about customer choice. And I think part of the reason we work with consultancies and SIs, companies like Activision, is that you know you can help them on that journey, but also figure out what kinds of solutions make the most sense for them, and how do they prioritize these things.
Yep.
My personal experience has been always get your foundational data structures in place before you start trying to do advanced things. It's very hard to build great dashboards on bad data. I mean, we all know that, right? So get your data right. So I think we can play a role with all of these companies, but ultimately it's going to be up to customers to do what works best for them, and really it's up to us. And our promise is to make sure that we, to the extent we can, we're going to play as nice as we can technically with all these different vendors. And there's others. I mean, it's a crowded space. These were best of best, and we have certainly a drive within the company to make sure that we maintain and continue to be valuable to our customers. And Snowflake is seeing that, and so forth. But we're multi-platform, right? So there's going to be times when people are using other things, and the story is the same.
So this is actually a really good point that you're touching on here. Obviously, we're talking about Snowflake, but we spoke about Redshift. That was the legacy product. That's still something, right? That's still a product that you have. Yeah. BigQuery is another one. You mentioned Databricks. What does the future hold for Matillion in terms of the product roadmap, the solution itself? How is that going to look moving forward?
Yeah. So we're going to continue to evolve the product. We overspend in R&D as a startup. I mean, that's clearly how we're going to succeed, is by having the best technology. So we have to continue to drive an aggressive roadmap.
You just had Series D funding as well, right?
Yeah, we did.
You're sitting on a bit of cash. That's good. Congrats again.
And so, yeah, and I'm not privy to how Matthew wants to spend corporate treasury, but I would say that, just sort of as a new person coming in, my observation is that we're heavily invested in the R&D side, because innovation is how we're going to continue to stay out front. I think customers are going to need us to continue to be multi-platform and provide them with choice. I don't think that will change. And as I mentioned, as companies like Databricks and Snowflake continue to evolve their roadmaps, we're going to continue to find more and more ways to innovate through R&D to take advantage of those capabilities. The Hub product that we recently, and I'm just getting up to speed on Hub, but I think part of the promise of this is to make sure that we're making it easier for customers to take advantage of where their data is, and to apply sort of the Matillion layer on top of that. And so I think that's certainly, I think, part of our thinking. It's about, again, we got to take care of the customer. We have to give them a choice. And as they are invested in these platforms, we need to make sure that we're giving them sort of the ability to take advantage of some of that innovation.
Now, and the customer-centric message is something that I obviously, as your partner, completely agree with, and on the projects that we've been able to work on together, that is certainly something that has come to the forefront. Okay, I'm just going to check on the chat to see if there are any questions. I don't think I've seen that many, but I am going to just have a quick look. There's a lot of Thomas. There's a lot of people saying hello. No, I think we're good. We're good for now, but that's fine. I'll go back to a question I asked just before, with my double-headed question. I realized it was perhaps not the nicest way to bring two questions to you, Josh. But I did want to know, what significance does the award have in terms of Matillion's projections for business with Snowflake? I mean, is there any drive to go to market together on certain use cases? You mentioned being customer centric. Are you thinking about that? How does that all take shape?
Well, look, I think in some ways it's sort of it's a point in time, and it reflects kind of how we are right now with Snowflake. I think we have a drive to continue to be providing great value to them and to common customers. And so I think there's, in some level, it helps us sort of tell maybe a more interesting story to common clients, and gives them some confidence that, not only do these capabilities work well together, but they work really well together, and we have lots of joint customers, and this is definitely something you should take a look at. So there's certainly some of that. So it does have sort of a business, sort of a commercial element. There's sort of a marketing element, but also I think for customers it should give them sort of a sense of confidence that these technologies work quite well together, and that these companies have strong business together. Will we do things like more joint offerings on industry use case? Are we going to try to expand the market together in certain places? Absolutely. And those are all sort of ongoing, discussions, and that's very much the nature of sort of when two companies come together and are having success, and how they sort of build on that.
Of course. Again, preaching to the choir to take an American expression. I don't know that many, but there we go.
No, that's a good one. But again, if we can, if we can make it easier for customers to get value, and if we can make it easier for you to go help them understand where that value is by stuff that we do directly with Snowflake, again, all the better.
And I think it is important to mention one small technical detail. I think the one thing that sets Matillion apart from the space that you're in, the ELT side of it, and again, we're not going to talk about the more legacy ETL tools that do have the transformation capabilities you have, is that part, right? The T. There's a lot of loading tools that reproduce or replicate models as is, from one place to another, and another here being Snowflake. The proprietary Snowpipe tool is one example, and there are a number of other vendors there. But I think your key differentiator, from my perspective as a partner, as a business intelligence consultancy firm, is that you do have that transformation capability. And that's something that really does stand out, and I think becomes quite naturally the go-to model to create a data warehousing project in Snowflake and other cloud native databases.
No, Martin, I mean, that you framed it perfectly, and I think that is sort of, from a technical standpoint, the big differentiator, and it allows people to get more value from their Snowflake investment and their commitment to Snowflake, right? So we're taking advantage of the high performance that they can deliver, and we can do it on our side in a very sort of cost conscious way, and that's really valuable. So
because you do leverage that full elasticity that Snowflake provides. You were mentioning earlier in our conversation about the pricing model, and you do kind of follow that. If you need a lot, okay, you pay for that, but if you're not using it,
that's fine. Yeah, and we have a metered model. It's a consumption model. We call it pay-go, but it's very much as customers need it, they use it, and if they don't use it, if they don't need it, rather, they don't have to pay for it. And so and we're making that a much more fine-grained kind of billing model. And I think, again, customers are pulling us into this. This is very much driven by customer requirements, just to make it easier and more understandable.
Well, that's obviously important information for any potential customers out there, that your voice is heard and that things evolve as you need them to. Is there anything that you've seen in the 6 short weeks that you've been with the company in terms of customer-driven development or changes?
I have to say, nothing is sort of jumping out at me to answer that one. And again, I'm so new to this that some of the stuff is I need a little more time for it all to properly sink
I didn't
in.
give you that question in advance. That's
it's fine.
You're allowed.
That was a bonus question.
The bonus question, and you passed, and that's fine. Not a problem. All right. We're pretty much at the end of the 30 minutes. So I think we've covered everything. And there aren't any additional questions in the chat. So I think we can leave it there. Josh, thank you very much so much for your
Martin,
time today. I am going to ask you one final thing. One of your consultants did a wonderful prediction model for the European Championships. Football, not soccer, football. It wasn't very accurate, let's be honest, but I'm going to ask you for a prediction for the small matter of the England-Germany game coming up. Any guesses? Any wild figures that you want to throw out there?
I'm a passive observer with absolutely no insight whatsoever, although I did tell you yesterday that France was going to have a hard time with Switzerland, and I'm sorry about that. I
It's
know
your fault.
it was close. It was close. I'm going to go with Germany. So
Thanks for that. I appreciate that. Yay, great. Okay. Sure. All right. We'll see. We'll see if your streak ends tonight then. But
we
again,
can only hope.
Josh.
All right.
Same again. Fingers crossed.
All right.
Thank you so much for your time. It was a real
Martin,
pleasure
thank
to
you.
have you. And we'll obviously be speaking again very soon. To all of you who were here, thank you very much for your time and for sharing 30 minutes of your day with us. We hope that the interview was to your satisfaction, that you found it interesting and insightful. And please join us again for future events on our LinkedIn page. And as usual, stay safe and see you soon. Take care. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Every 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.